What's going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
I'm Pat.
And I'm Zach.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast. They say you can't choose your family. Well, you also can't choose which era of music you grew up in. This is a weekly show where we discuss our favorite bands from adolescence and how they continue to shape our lives today. Each week, we'll head back to the early 2000s and take a closer look at the cards we were dealt. How's it going, Pat?
It's going pretty well. It's been kind of a busy week, and I think I was looking forward to this because I was hoping that we could maybe take a minute to relax.
Out of the gate. Yeah. You know, it's been like a weirdly tough week. I don't know if it was like the super blood wolf moon, but it's been a weird one. So yeah, let's take a
Dibs
second
on the
to...
band name, first of all. Second of all, yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Cue the music.
Yeah.
So, your therapist has been suggesting that you take a minute to center yourself, not only in the quiet of your own home, but out in the world so you can get used to embracing the world around you and the good people of Earth. And you find yourself, you've paid the cover charge at the door to the Newfound Glory concert. It's a pop-punk reunion tour. And you're finding yourself in the middle of the crowd and the lights are about to go down. And you just want to take a minute and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And the roar of those around you just becomes this dull kind of noise, just kind of this hum. And you try to center yourself or start that process.
And as you stand there in the crowd, your eyes closed, your head cocked back, just really embracing the energy of the room, you can feel the lights go out and time slows as you are ready to experience Nirvana, not the band, but your favorite band, Newfound Glory, about to hit the stage.
And just as your inner chi or zen or what have you almost reaches the peak calmness, as if an audio wave has reached total silence, there's no bumps or anything of the nature, you're at utter zen, you start to hear the roar of the crowd around you lift up, and you feel the warmth of like-minded individuals, and then it starts to it's a good amount of cheering, but you're still pretty chill.
And as you open your eyes, expecting to see your favorite band take the stage, a different kind of scene plays out, and you witness the horror of the straight-edge hardcore kids stage diving from the stage, terrorizing the crowd for being a bunch of posers.
Yes. The one walks up to you and says, "Hey idiot, I saw you smoking a cigarette earlier," and he stomps your foot really fucking hard with an oversized boot that he has no business wearing. And as the combat boot breaks several bones in the arch of your foot, you can't help but cry a little inside and on the outside, because those boots are friggin' too big.
It's just now occurring to you, as you're fully taken out of your Zen state, that your favorite band is nowhere to be found. You look at the stage, anticipating their presence, and you see Jordan Pundik lying on the ground, blood spilling from his head. The straight edge kids got him first, and now they're ripping through the crowd, tearing people limb from limb, taking their vape pens and shoving them up their butts.
And as they're just ripping flesh off of every individual inside that isn't hashtag keeping it posy or walking that straight edge line, now they're getting centered, and now you're a little pissed off. You're bleeding heavily, but you had been on your way to utter nirvana, and you were right there so close, and now they're feeling it through this homicidal rampage, which is kind of unfair when I think about it. And now the fact that the universe is tipped against you, you start to feel way, way less centered, and this whole exercise is just, maybe it's the blood loss at this point, but your mind becomes very jarbled.
And at this point, your foot is bleeding profusely. You start losing vision as you realize, this might be how I die at a Newfound Glory show for being a poser.
But then the thought of death brings you a different kind of peace. And as you drift ever and ever closer towards the light, you blink, and find out that light was atop of an operating table at the local area hospital, and you're separated by only thin curtains from everyone else who now has several limbs missing from the mayhem at the show. And what would have been sweet release, yet again you are thwarted in your effort to find utter peace, and you are alive but without a foot. And you didn't even get to see the show, and New Found Glory is dead now, so you can't see them. And that was the last thing on your bucket list, and you're really kind of pissed because it was like the last band in your top 5 that you didn't see yet, and it's really just a bummer overall because it's a big part of your bucket list was just seeing your top 5 favorite bands. So, yeah. Anyway, you want to start the show?
Sure. I guess the irony of that bit is I think some of the members of the band are straight edge, as technically am I. So I don't know why I made them the villains in that one.
When you came to me with that idea for the meditation, I was like, all right, I don't know who we're going to upset, the subjects and the hosts today. So we're just trying to make it through. It's been a rough week. Happy hump day to all. Yeah. Although I guess it's Friday when the episode drops. Tom, you wanted to do this because I believe listener Amanda put it in the requests, a line of requests that is getting long enough to probably delay a few episodes in the future that, I think somebody has Incubus in there and a few other ones. So if it takes us a minute to get there, we apologize, of course. But here we are, New Found Glory, and I'm feeling pretty excited about it.
Yeah, New Found Glory has been, for a long time, one of my favorite bands in the genre. They were like one of the introductory bands to pop punk. They stem all the way back from LimeWire. And actually, they were my first concert ever. So They always kind of hold like a really dear place in my heart. Can
you tell the story?
Yeah. So I was in 8th grade, which is the year we met. And I only knew the song My Friends Over You. I don't know where it came from, like how that ended up in my LimeWire
Yeah, I
feed.
distinctly, that was, if somebody's like, where'd you get that song? It's like from that time Tom merged his iTunes library with mine, for sure. Which I didn't know what band it was, what record it was off of. I was just, I like this song.
It was just my jam. And I remember having like the music video off LimeWire as well. And I've been really bad about just like taking what I'm given and not like looking for more. So like I only had that one song like all of 8th grade. And Jeremy Ropoleski, who we went to middle school with, was like, hey, you like New Found Glory, right? They're playing at Penn State Barrand. So I got tickets, and my mom being like kind of protective. I'm like a literal child, like 13 at this point. Like, Mom, can I
legally a child at that point.
Like, can I go to a concert alone at a college? And she's like, do you know who's going? Tell me their names. And I like totally fucking lied to her. I forget who I said. I think I might have said I was going with you because she knew who you were.
I'm dying to know how many people have used me in their lies to go convince their parents to go to stuff. Sorry, I cut you off.
So I see Newfound. Oh, okay. So Reggie and the Full Effect opens.
Ooh.
And they were wild. They were a lot of fun. And this is, keep in mind, the first live music I've ever seen. They're a pretty intense band to see.
Sure.
And then Isley played next, and they were painfully boring. On Reggie's last song, they said, "We are the storm before the calm," and it got way too calm after them. It was, it was sad. Anyway, New Found Glory comes on, loving it, having a good time. They play their last song, My Friends Over You. I lose my fucking mind because it's the only song I knew. Crowd surf for the first time. The best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
And then my mom is like coming to pick me up. And this random guy that like Jeremy was with, I didn't know him, but we were like kind of together. He's like, hey, can I get a ride home? And I was like, man, I'm like lying to my mom about who I'm with. If there's just like a strange dude that like neither of us really knows, it's going to seem suspicious, So my mom drops him off and she's like, where do you know that kid from? And I was like, oh, from Iroquois. And she's like, really? I just dropped him off outside of the Iroquois school district. And I was like, yeah, I think his parents like pay for him to go there. And she's like, that doesn't make sense.
Wow, you really took that to the ropes.
I know.
To the edge of the road. She even had you with the evidence. And you stayed with it. Good on you. That's what that rock and roll music will do to you, man.
But it was just, it was kind of surreal to be so young and experienced that kind of by myself, because I went with Jeremy, but like we weren't together or anything, and it was just like a really coming of age feeling, you know, to be trusted to be like entirely, I don't know. I mean, they're the band I've seen most since then. I've probably seen them like 10 times or something.
Dang.
Just they're accessible.
So you really like this band?
Well, they played around our hometown of Erie a lot. And my friend Ryan,
I wonder if people within the industry would call them road dogs, or like comics call people that are on the road a lot, right? And I feel like they're always playing live shows. And sometimes they're the smallest shows that seem beneath them somehow, or
with
something.
like
they always just
$12
play.
tickets. Yeah. Like it's incredible. And that's why, you know, my friend Ryan, we went to high school with him. I went to college with him. He would just like borrow his mom's van and we drive to Cleveland for the day. And I feel like we saw them like 5 times within like 1 or 2 years. And every time was with the band Fireworks. Like, I don't know if you ever listened to them, but they were a lot of fun in the day too. And yeah, it's just like this band just reminds me of like becoming aware of the local scene and being a part of it. And they're like the band that introduced me to that like halftime breakdown chorus, the you know, just and it seeped into everything, you know.
Yeah,
I like this band.
You know, like in Spider-Man when they show the spider DNA like changing the cells in his body. I feel like their halftime was like you would zoom in inside your body and it would just be like the pop punk cells would be forming. Like, feel like this is the type of music I need. Just like a arch villain being born in real time or something.
I mean, their choruses were anthemic, explosive, the kind that like you would just scream along with your friends, you know. It was...
See, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So I was listening, I went back to their first record, 1999. Was it self-titled?
No, Nothing Gold Can Stay.
Yeah. And Hit or Miss is the hit off that one. It actually appears, some of those songs appear on the record they released in 2000, like the more polished version. Like that was their like demo record or whatever, probably from what I could glean.
Recorded in their friend's bedroom, yeah.
Sure. So the first 3 songs off that, to me, you could rearrange any of the notes and words from those first 3 songs, and you could pretty much recreate their whole catalog with like, it's either a cover from a movie, a song about not being with a girl, or a song about your self-esteem being super low. And the riffs are never incredibly complex. I could be totally wrong on that. Like maybe the guitar work is top notch, but
not really.
The point I'm trying to make is when they come out with Sticks and Stones in like, was it 03? It came after the 2000 re-release, and then there was a cover album,
02.
And then Sticks and Stones. Yeah. And Understatement starts off and it's just, I don't know. To me, it's like they had a lane. It was a set amount of lyrics or things they were going to talk about, and a set amount of Sum 41/Blink types of riffs. Like they weren't going to stray super far from that.
Yeah.
But within those constraints, they rocked hard as absolute
Yeah.
So my question to you is, and you've seen them a ton, so you're a fan. Are they like, does that make them better or limit them from achieving like, you know, because to me, they're not a tier A band from the pop punk of 2000s, right? You could disagree. You may disagree. But to me, they're kind of limited, but also within that lane, they don't hold any punches, that's for sure. I just was curious about your thoughts on that. That you could A, tell me I'm wrong, or B, just like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think for me, it's hard to distinguish like their legacy or their career objectively, because they were one of my favorite bands. So of course, when that's kind of the world you're living in, you're like, what, you mean they're not the biggest band of all time? That's all I listen to, you know? But when looking at like their album sales and their chart numbers, I mean, they hit gold for 3 albums.
Do you have a little Now You Know prepared by chance?
I actually have a bunch, yeah. But
I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, let me answer this question first, though, because I think it's super interesting.
Yeah. Because I think they are limited to a certain degree, and there's a certain amount of greatness they didn't reach, but that could just be me.
Yeah, I mean, I think they put a pretty low kind of glass ceiling on their career because of how true they stayed to their original sound. But I think that makes for a bigger cult following, so you can you can tour endlessly selling $20 tickets, rather than
true.
touring, once every other year for $40 a piece. Like, I think there's two ways to approach, like, your band as a business, and they picked a different way than massive commercial success, but the people who enjoyed them were like crazy fans. So,
right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
like they were giving everybody a ton of chances to see them and hear a bunch of their catalog live if they really wanted to. Which other bands you'd have to like wait to see them if they swung near you, and if they didn't play the songs you wanted to hear, then it was just kind of, it depends on how many songs they played off that album that they were touring that particular summer and things like that. So that's a plus. I would categorize that as a plus for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, when we're trying to figure out the marketing for this book we're putting out, it's like, if you write for everyone, the book's for no one.
Right. They have that's a good, interesting way to put it, right?
They're
like,
niche.
It is exactly for, every song is exactly for that dude who likes that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because you listen to the record they put out in 2018, and it is just, any of the songs could be, like I still stand by my take that, and I'm not exactly, this is pretty low stakes stuff, so for me to even phrase it like that is really fucking stupid, but, the first 3 songs off of that 1999 record that was in the friend's bedroom is kind of, could be any 3 songs on the 2018 record.
Yeah, I think with the exception of Radio Surgery, everything was pretty similar. Hit or Miss is like one of their greatest songs, and when I was looking through their discography in like chronological order, I was shocked to see that was like the first song from their first full length, because it is so good and it stands up with anything that came after it. Like, it's, with the exception of their recording quality getting better and more polished.
I was going to say, what hit me is when I heard the bad recording quality version first, I was like, this could have been any group of 4 people, like, middle-class white males in Florida, like playing guitars in their basements or something. Like, to me, it was very not spectacular, but I did find myself singing it in my head all day. So there's a catchiness there that I didn't realize until a few hours later when I was eating my lunch at work and saying, damn it happened again.
Yeah, they rip, man. They rip.
Yeah. I did notice that there was a big increase in like songs I recognized. This might be, I know I always have to put things through the lens of blank, which is
right. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. But Hit or Miss and then Catalyst to me is their Enema and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Is that fair? Like, there's like 7 of their greatest hits album songs are on those 2. Is that fair? Like, that's when they were in their absolute wheelhouse.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a preference over those 2? Or is there one that sold better, clearly? Because obviously, All Downhill From Here had to have been their biggest hit, but I don't know. My Friends Over You might be the best song of theirs, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
I don't know, dude. Catalyst ends with The Story So Far hidden track. To me, that's the scariest that's ever happened.
Someone's in your house.
Yeah, someone's in your house. So, right. I had to search long and hard for the radio edits of that version of that song, because there was this one stretch where I had a playlist with only that, the one with the hidden track still on it, and I'd be at. I always categorize them, and I don't know if you want to do the Now You Know first, but they are definitely my guilty pleasure band in a big way for some reason. So like, if you're sitting there and say you want to Google like, what if I just didn't cut my fingernails? How long would it take to break the Guinness World Record? But you don't want the pictures and stuff to pop up like on your work computer and have someone walk by and be like, hey, that's a disturbing image. And you like try to hide your phone real quick. For some reason, listening to Newfound Glory and having your iPod be proof that you're listening to them when someone walks by and asks, like, hey, what are you listening to? Oh, some deep cuts of Newfound Glory. For some reason, it's the same feeling for me, and I just can't. I can't explain it, and it's very unfair to them, I'm sure, because I legitimately enjoy about 15 of their songs.
I mean, they've toured with big bands, though. Like, they've toured with Blink, Green Day, Hot Water Music. Like, they're not no one.
Yeah. No, I know, but so, like, the way people seem to not talk about them, or people that aren't hardcore fans, the lyrics are so, like, first of all, the lead singer's voice, very nasally, right? Again, I love a ton of their songs.
Yeah.
But the lyrics are very whiny. They never really stray from that same sound. There's a lot to make fun of. And it's just interesting to me, the bands that end up, like, the internet ends up ganging up on. Like, I know Creed did what Creed did, and Nickelback did what Nickelback did. But by all accounts, they had the measurables to be a totally, pile on them band. But maybe they went too hard to warrant that type of treatment. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They had some kind of secret formula down for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get into these fun facts because there's a couple things
sure.
here that I find interesting. Yeah, like you mentioned, from Coral Springs, Florida. They're all friends from high school, which is just fun. And like the lineup is still the same with the exception of Steve. The controversy surrounding him, I think he went to jail, right? Either way, was not going to last in that band. The band was originally named New Found Glory, which I think is really interesting because, again, I discovered them on LimeWire, and some of the songs said A New Found Glory and some said New Found Glory. And like up until when I was researching today, I thought they were just like LimeWire typos, but they were actually called that for a while. The story goes Steve and Jordan worked at Red Lobster together, and like multiple websites quote this verbatim. A New Found Glory was scrawled onto a napkin, and it ended up being the name they chose. What the does that mean? Scrawled onto a napkin? Did someone just write it on a table and leave it? Or like, was it printed on the napkin?
I don't know. There's the Taking Back Sunday lyrics about scribbling teen poems on napkins and stuff. Maybe people just wrote, J.K. Rowling used to write Harry Potter ideas in the cafe on napkins. People just don't write. You don't see it as much anymore, writing on napkins in cafes, but there is kind of a romantic notion to it.
Yeah, so I guess some stranger named them, but Jordan also credited the single A Newfound Interest in Massachusetts by the Get Up Kids as partial inspiration for the name. I guess they thought it was catchy. Also reminds me of Another Found Self, a band from Youngstown, Ohio that we played with a lot in Erie, Pennsylvania.
I'd like to see the commercial that from Big Napkin that promotes, like, this is going to be when you're at your lowest and most depressed, but you have a pen on you, but you can't quite have that piece of scratch
Big
paper.
Napkin.
Write a very vague idea onto this napkin and become J.K. Rowling. Also, you can wipe up spilled iced tea, but also you can write your life-changing ideas onto them.
So, we keep getting these like American Pie threads in all of these episodes we do. Forget Everything was featured in the American Wedding soundtrack. Yeah, might take a look at what else is in there. They were on several EA sports games. I guess they were like Madden 2005 or something. And Travis Barker is in the music video for My Friends Over You for like 6 frames. He's just kind of like standing there on stage. I have no idea.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's so weird. But like I saw that as the fun fact, and I went back and watched the video because I used to watch that on repeat for hours at a time as a kid because that's all I had. And at that point, I liked Blink, but I didn't like know what they looked like or anything. And then once I saw Travis on stage, it was interesting that their drummer Cyrus Beluki also plays OCDP drums, which is what Travis plays, and he also had a lot of the same cymbals that Travis used on the recording of Enema of the State, which consequently I also own like all of those cymbals. But most notably, you can see Cyrus's leftmost cymbal is a Zildjian Z Custom, which is like one that Travis used a lot. I actually just sold one a couple months ago, but I don't know. I thought that was interesting for some reason. Same drums, same cymbals, also the same drums that the drummer from the Starting Line used. OCDPs must have been really big around that time. Anyways, they were my first concert. My friend Chris Lukey got tattooed by Jordan Pundik a few months ago. That is one of my favorite fun facts because
it's a good one.
New Found Glory is like his favorite band.
Did he win a contest, or does the lead singer have a side gig?
He like tattoos on the side. I think he owns a studio, and
interesting.
Every now and then, if he has like a cancellation, he'll post on Instagram like, first person to send however much money gets the session. And I guess he saw it at the right time and got tattooed.
Nice. Is that your dream?
My dream?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll add it to the bucket list.
There you go. Well, tattoos and New Found Glory are two of your larger interests. So I guess I just assumed, but sure makes an ass out of you and me when you assume, doesn't it, Tom?
Okay. One of the biggest things about this band, Chad Gilbert married to and then divorced Hayley Williams. She was like pop punk's sweetheart, and he just straight up married her. And I remember being so jealous. Kind of being heartbroken when they were dating. And yeah, they were married like a year and a half.
Just one of those like early teen crushes where you legitimately are impacted by the things that happen to them in their life.
Oh,
like,
yeah. When I saw,
just like, wait, if she's dating someone else, then my minuscule, like lottery chances just went up. Like now it's 0. Golly.
I mean, when I met her at 2007 Warped Tour and she signed my Motorola Razr, which I then had to send back to Verizon when it broke.
No, you just keep it, dude. Just keep it. That's a shame. That's that would have been a relic of the era.
I know.
Oh, man. Picture like the movie I Am Legend, but one of the fight zombie scenes happens at like an old Warped Tour venue and there's just a Razr signed by Hayley Williams on the ground. Like that would have been the perfect set piece. God.
So interesting. They toured, I think they toured together. They did some songs together before.
Yeah, I noticed that she was featured on a few tracks when I was scrolling through Apple Music earlier today.
Right. So like Chad, married a girl that he did music with. Before that, he was married to Sherry Dupree. She was in Isley, which was the band I hated that I saw them with the first time. So I guess he just marries girls he goes on tour with.
Yeah, you're young. You're spending a lot of time on the road having fun. I could imagine very easily how that would happen. And good on him. Hopefully everybody had a good time and nobody got hurt too bad.
So
emotionally.
There's one thing here about Chad being in the band Shai Hulud, which is
Chad plays which instrument?
I think, he's the guitarist in New Found Glory. I think he was the vocalist of Shai Hulud for like 3 years, 2005 to 2008, rejoined briefly in 2012. But I have here. Oh, also one of the times that I saw New Found Glory with Ryan in Cleveland, there were these dudes that we met like in line for the venue, and they were like losing their mind about finally getting to see Shai Hulud. Drove like 400 miles to the show, and then like we're all in the venue, the curtain opens, lights go down, and they're like, just an announcement, Shai Hulud is not playing tonight. And Ryan and I were like, oh, those poor dudes.
Oh no.
Drove all the way there.
Jeez Louise.
But anyway,
400 miles.
Yeah, dude, like forever to see Shai Hulud.
To end up at the Cleveland House of Blues with New Found Glory. Oh, God. I know the tickets were like $17, but this still sucks, man.
So the last thing I have here in all caps, bold, just huge, because I didn't think you would know about it. Did you know all the members of New Found Glory also had a second band called International Superheroes of Hardcore?
No, but I love everything about what's happening right now.
You gotta listen to it. It's just like the same band writing like thrash hardcore music, and they did like a song about Back to the Future. It's all kind of like fun stuff. Dive into them if you're really looking for deep cuts.
Interesting. Some of the side projects that we stumble onto here, and this just jogged my memory of a text from listener JW. He brought up the fact that last week we did the Starting Line episode. You can go check it out wherever you get your podcasts. But he's asked if I had ever heard of Kenny's side project Person L.
Oh.
And I hadn't, but it's something, if you're going back to bands you like and other music they've created under different names or aliases, and that's one to check out as well. But so it's interesting that their side project also did like music theme covers or movie theme covers and covers. And because, that was, here's the thing. I remember our co-host Zach, who we should have mentioned at the beginning of the show, isn't here for the past couple episodes because his computer is broken.
Yes.
And you can't do computer stuff if the computer's broken. Right. Pretty simple stuff. So we miss him. We wish him well, and we talk to him, but wish him well like he's in the hospital or something. But we'll talk to him soon. Basically, he hated the fact that 4 Year Strong, a band that was popular when we were in high school, did a full cover album. Yes. And I was like, I don't know, dude. They picked a good group of songs and you ripped it up with every single one of them.
Yeah.
Like they and Travie McCoy really killed Fly by Sugar Ray, I thought, for example.
Oh,
which
yes, dude.
I thought it was really great. Oof. So I was like, I'm not against the cover album at all. Zach was like, just pump out your own music, man. But, if you look at New Found Glories, so 1999, they came out with their first bedroom recording, whatever. And then they pump out a whole cover album before they even re-release their stuff. And, so they're pumping out just like, here's 2 CDs, originals, some covers. I imagine when you're coming up as a band, you have to fill the sets with something. So I'd imagine it's pretty easy to get good at some covers. I'm pretty sure most bands would at least have a few that they're comfortable with playing, right? But not to mention, in the year 2000, right around that time, Goldfinger was blowing up with 99 Red Balloons, their cover of that. 1997 or 98, I think it was Save Ferris covered Come On Eileen. Maybe it was just like, I feel like there was a lot of... gritty reboot is such a stupid overused phrase nowadays, but like, harder covers in the ska world and maybe the pop punk world as well, and maybe it was just more commonplace.
Well, plus you had Me First and the Gimme Gimmies at that time too. So,
ooh, what did they cover?
I mean, they were just a cover band. They had like,
oh, that's right,
yeah.
Which one? What was their like? They had like 3 good ones.
Oh, dude, all of them were good. They did Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which I think Dave Hall introduced me to.
Yeah, well, yeah, all those Lake Cliff dudes loved ska and techno. Very small, very distinct. The soccer crew, and gotta love it. But I will say that, one, I don't mind the practice anyhow. I love this, the 4 Year Strong stuff and Newfound Glory, though half of their covers are abysmal, that I don't mind that they do it. Plus, in the era, bands were getting a name for themselves doing those covers. Also, it's still rewarded today, whether you like it or not. And I, as a Weezer fan, hate it, but they freaking charted by covering Africa as a joke for some girl on the internet that they were trying to please some fan, and they just did it as a joke. And now everyone's like, "Oh, way to stay relevant, '90s band." It's like, "F you guys." They were doing it as a joke and the f***ed up music, whatever. And all of a sudden, it charts, and everyone's like, looks at it through that lens. Anyway, in case you don't know, I'm a fan of Weezer, and I will defend them until the day I die. Anyway, I'm also defending the fact that they did all these cover albums, and this is a very roundabout way of asking you what you thought about most of their covers, and if you had any favorites.
Well, let me read you an Amazon review from February 6th, 2001, from Daniel Duffield. Headline, "All excited for nothing." And the first line here is, "Honestly, I was expecting a good CD when I ordered this one. The track selection seemed outstanding, but what I got was a Blink-182 sound-alike." The dude had no idea who Newfound Glory was when he bought the CD, which I think is hilarious. Anyways, I don't think everything on their, especially their first cover album, not great.
I kid you not, I just checked my Gmail on my phone, and Weezer just dropped the full album of covers as we're recording this. I'm not even kidding you, because I'm a member of the Weezer fan club. It's called the Teal album. It's legitimately out now. What is this, a Wednesday night we're finding out about this?
Oh my God.
It's got damn. Anyway, so it's common is what we're saying.
That is
There's no reason to hate it.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny. I glanced down because I got a little notification on my phone.
So can we talk about their first cover from the screen to your stereo, That Thing You Do, which we've talked about at great length because we are from Erie, Pennsylvania, where that movie is based.
You got to be quick with us.
I'm from Erie, PA. And
we stay up past our bedtimes.
We are officially in Adam Schlesinger Appreciation Pod, and he fucking wrote that song, the bassist of Fountains of Wayne, and they kind of just aborted that song, dude.
Oh, dude. You know what, and again, I didn't even want to do zingers, but I have a couple. I'm just going to read them real quick. Just because, again, it was kind of like last week with the starting line. I don't even dislike the band, so it's easy to write mean stuff with the intent to be funny. Sure. It's hard to keep it friendly. But just for the sake of the show, I wrote a couple, and one of them has to do with the covers. I'll just get them out of the way quick if you don't mind. Okay, Newfound Glory has more unnecessary movie covers than My Mother's Cedar Chest. I need those faded 101 Dalmatian pillowcases from 1995. Like I need 2.5 minutes of Jordan Putnick yelping through My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. That is to say that I do not. Newfound Glory is the only band to review their own career every time they have a hit song. Hit or miss? Yes. All downhill from here? Also yes. Too mean, but you had to get this out of the way. Anyway, My Heart Will Go On, just with a fucking cleaver, butcher.
Horrible, dude.
Inch of that.
Horrible. Didn't even get the melody right.
No. And we're about to praise every one of their good ones. But it wasn't even like a good, you could say they made it their own, but in the process made it just almost actually hard to listen to because there's no congruency with it at all. Oh, it's a shame. Because only, anyway, That Thing You Do was, I thought it was, it was okay. It wasn't their worst.
I remember having Heaven from LimeWire and listening to it in 9th grade what would that have been? Algebra class, Algebra 1, thinking it was okay, but like I didn't know it was a cover at the time. But then you get into From the Screen to Your Stereo Part 2. What is this, 7 years later, and they actually put some fucking effort into it? Starts off with Kiss Me, which is...
Well, hold on. Let me go through the tracks that I like on, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah. Let's back it up.
If I can bend your ear for a moment. I'm just going to rank them real quick. That Thing You Do, movie cover. I like it. That's my hot takes for everyone. So. I like it. Never Ending Story theme. I wasn't really a Never Ending Story guy, but I'm sure they did a good job. Don't Want to Miss a Thing. Yes, I believe they probably would have. It was just featured heavily in the movie. There was Deep Impact, but then there was Armageddon. There was like 2 Comet movies in the early 2000s. One of them featured this song, and I think they did a good job. Goonies, another movie one, and then I don't really know, but then you get to My Heart Will Go On, track 7 off that first one, and it is rough. Okay, and then, like you said, they did another one called From the Screen to Your Stereo, Part 2. And yes, sorry, I was just a little behind you, my co-host, and now that I'm caught up, Kiss Me is just probably because She's All That, right? Where they take the glasses off the already attractive woman and they're like, oh, let's take you to prom. Right?
That's
that
a lot
song
of
was
movies,
in that movie.
yeah.
Well, no, it's very specifically that Freddie Prinze Jr. movie. She's All That, I believe. So that was probably their best cover. Is that easy to say?
Is that also the one that Haley Williams was jumping on a mattress in the music video?
There is a very cool mattress fort in that music video.
I think Haley Williams was there for sure.
Hanging out.
Just so good. So good.
It was in his... Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really good.
It Ain't Me,
They nailed it.
Killer.
The Promise is my favorite, I think, of all time.
I'm not even sure if I know that.
I promise that I'm not thinking about the right words to say. Right. Yeah, dude, you should listen to it now that you know
No,
what it
that is so good. I remember
nail
that
it.
cover now. I just didn't know the title of it.
Well, they kind of give away they wouldn't have been dating themselves at the time because it wasn't that long ago. The 80 movies would have been popular, but they also on this particular record covered "Don't You Forget About Me," right?
Yeah,
so a lot of 80s classics from those movies. But yeah, The Promise has to be my favorite cover of theirs.
King of Wishful Thinking is one of the best songs they've ever recorded.
I think their cover songs are a big part of who they are in general, and I think. Do you think they relied on it because of how limited they felt with lyrics and riffs and all that? Or again, maybe the guitar work was way better than I'm giving them credit for.
I think it is. Yeah.
Do you think they leaned on the covers a little bit because it allowed them to do something that was common and they didn't have to stick within the lyrics and riffs they stuck to so dutifully throughout their career?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure because. You meant,
or do they just enjoy it? It's hard to say.
You mentioned For Your Strong's cover album, and I remember being at Eaton Park on Peach Street. I don't know if you heard, they're actually closing down on 12th Street.
Yeah, the West 12th location. My mom texted me. She's like, "Do you remember eating here?" I was like, "Not that specific one."
All
I remember
about Peach Street, man.
Yeah, there was a smattering of Eaton Parks, and they're all the same on the inside, so they all blend together in my memory. But.
So I remember being in a booth with Brian Morganti, Tyler Long, and Ryan, and we were talking about the For Your Strong album, and like it's weird that it's covers and it came out so soon after the first one. And I think it was Brian was like, I think it's because they signed a 2-album record deal with the company, but like their first album was so much more successful than people anticipated that bigger labels were wanting to sign them, but they were, contracted to do 2 records with this smaller label. So they like did a rush job, put out a cover album to fulfill their 2-album requirements. So then they could then put out like their canon, sophomore album with a bigger label.
Interesting.
I don't know if...
Because that is interesting because it went from the bedroom demo to the 1999, right? And then 2000, all of a sudden there's a full cover album out, kind of out of nowhere, it seems like, right? And then it goes Sticks and Stones and Catalyst. So,
yeah, and I don't have their label.
But if we're doing
hand.
conspiracy theory stuff,
yeah,
right, and we'll do show notes research or something like that.
Right. So anyway, I mean, that's just a theory.
But they did go back to that well. Or maybe it was the same situation all over again later in their career. Who's to say?
I mean, I don't know.
But I don't know. After that second effort, I mean, after Catalyst, there's another cover album, a greatest hits collection, and then after that, there's kind of 3 to 4 forgettable same shit I haven't really heard anybody talk too much about, right? It's kind of like the Paramore thing where once you get later, it's people just kind of hanging on and going on reunion tours with each other. And, I would have to say Panic at the Disco actually is one of the only acts that's this late in the game still pumping out different, cool, new stuff now that we're all a little
bangers,
older.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's ripping it up. Good for him. Death of a Bachelor, I think we both, when you visited Cincinnati last, watched. Well, anyway, we'll save that for a different episode. But it's a little different than 9 in the Afternoon where he's on the floor dressed as like a circus leader, like crawling towards the camera that's on the floor. Very strange cinematography, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey, I've got breaking news from 8 months ago.
Bring it on. Yeah.
From the Screen to Your Stereo, Volume 3, unofficially announced on Reddit.
Wow.
Yeah, because
maybe they just enjoy it.
Around that time, they finished up their 20-year anniversary. 33% bro is the user. It was on the Pop Punkers subreddit, which is pretty good. But apparently, whoever this is had the information, was holding on to it for a while, and the band has announced that Eye of the Tiger will be on it. And there's going to be some guests on the record. But as of a month ago, there is still there's nothing in here confirming a date. So there will be another cover album to look forward to, which makes me think they just like it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, to me also, not that they thought their career was over, but there was the 10-year re-release of the 1999 record. There was a greatest hits thing. There was another set of covers. Do you think they were kind of mailing it in around 2005, 2006? Back when the other guy joined that other band and maybe there's a little bit of a hiatus. But I mean, to me, there was after a good 7-year run, it seemed like they were ready to move on to different things or something. Can you speak to that at all? Or
I can't. I've never really been invested in bands like their... I don't know the politics of it. I usually just listen to their music and don't really pay attention to what's going on in either their personal lives or, things surrounding that. I don't know. I've never been the historian that some of my friends were,
Right.
I've just enjoyed.
So what's the
music.
legacy?
For me, how I think of Newfound Glory is they are incredibly talented songwriters, but their songs, no pun intended, are pretty hit or miss. I don't typically enjoy. I mean, Catalyst is about as good as a full album as I think they might get. Oh God, I don't fucking know. I mean, I feel 60 to 70% of their albums are very good, and the others are totally snooze fests.
Yeah, man, Catalyst and Sticks and Stones are just different. They feel better and just miles ahead of everything else, kind of.
Yeah. So many breakdowns.
I mean, all their greatest hits came off those 2 albums, aside from Hit or Miss, and that's pretty much it, right?
I think we also do have to acknowledge that that's also the time when we are most actively listening to them. So there's probably people who would strongly disagree who have been much more invested
but I mean,
in their
if
career.
they're on the greatest hits collection, then it's not just a nostalgia thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? A lot of those songs, Head On Collision, Understatement, Doubtful, Failure's Not Flattering, Story So Far, their best songs fundamentally are just off those 2 records almost exclusively.
Plus, can we also mention that there are bands named The Story So Far and All Time Low?
Yeah, that's interesting. They were almost as influential as Wes Anderson movies in naming bands from our era. I think The Simpsons, Wes Anderson, and Newfound Glory. So actually, that might cement their legacy that they were right up there with The Simpsons and Wes Anderson in terms of naming bands from our era that liked to have a cultural reference in their band name.
Sure.
Well, The Simpsons were Fall Out Boy. Wes Anderson was, I didn't know that. References. Brand New has Sick Transit Gloria, Glory Fades, which is a quote from Rushmore and things like that. And the Fall Out Boy song, Tell That Mick He Just Made My List of Things to Do Today, is also another line from Rushmore. So lots of like-minded suburban white idiots quoting the same movies to each other over and over. So Taking Back Sunday actually gets a little street cred because they did the number one with a bullet, and I think that one of the only ones to quote High Fidelity with John Cusack, which is one of my favorite movies. But yeah, a little deeper cut there. So tangent over. I am actually more impressed by them now that you mentioned that All Time Low and
Story So Far.
Story So Far, yeah, which is a band that we've reviewed on this show, not did an episode about, but no, maybe I'm thinking of Moose Blood. Anyway, you introduced me to Story So Far. They rock pretty hard, but aren't they douchey dudes? I saw some article where he kicked a fan in the chest or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of. I don't want to comment.
You can't just be kicking fans.
I don't want to comment on any of it.
I've just snuck up on you as you're leaving your place of work on your way home to your car. Just like, leave me alone. I got a wife and kids.
I very rarely don't want to comment on something.
Yeah, hey, that's all right. That's fine. Oh, because you interviewed. Yeah.
No, real quick, speaking of Story So Far, yes, we interviewed Sam Pura on the making of their most recent album, Proper Dose. And just like 2 days ago, they put out a live music video for Proper Dose, and it is awesome. It is nice. About as good as a live music video gets.
Cool.
Very good.
I'm going to say that legacy-wise, they were... heading into this episode, I was like, man, they were just a few shitty hits away from being a Nickelback or a Creed. But now that we've talked it out, that couldn't be further from the case between their covers and their influence of other bands that named themselves after their lyrics and things like that. And yeah, it's not like 4 to 6 songs. It's like 10 to 15 songs of theirs that I really, truly enjoy. Understatement is such a fucking hard-rocking song. But yeah, I'm going to say they are maybe not tier A, but tier B, firmly in tier B, and you can enjoy a lovely evening. And they would show up to any show, whether it was a $12 Baron show, and just scrape the fucking floors with the same riffs and just like they didn't really care where they were, it seemed. And they just were like,
yeah,
we're with our high school friends from Florida and we're not, you're not, I have an Aisley voice. Who gives it? We're just going to friggin' rip it. And, it's hard to hate that attitude, right? Like they stayed in their lane. They didn't branch out at all, but it's like, who cares? I mean, it is what it is, and they don't try to be anything they're not.
Yeah. I mean, I think they were like the true embodiment of like that punk spirit. Right. And I think they were just like very niche, again, stayed in their lane. Maybe they didn't have as many fans as say the Wonder Years did after they kind of transitioned out of that kind of happy fun time pop punk sound. But the people who loved them still love them because they are exactly who they were. And I think for me, if I had to like sum their legacy up, if you take their entire discography and you pick their 10 best songs, the album made from those 10 best songs might be one of like the greatest albums of all time. I'll say that.
Yeah. Because sometimes, I mean, you could go 10 songs on Greatest Hits and just be like something you would know every word to and enjoy every bit of. And not even something like legacy, like dad rock stuff from the 70s, like,
right.
Classic rock radio types couldn't put 7 strong ones together, right? So, like Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band,
sure.
There's like 20 songs on that record. And there's like, there's like 8 incredibly strong songs on that. But I hate to drag Bob Seger on the Newfound Friggin' Glory episode, but, and people who grew up during that era would probably say, this and that, et cetera, et cetera. But actually, I would love to do my next dissertation on the similarities and parallels between Bob Seger and people that don't get out of their lane. Oh, motorcycles and gambling? Yeah. Anyway, I wish Zach was here to also entertain that with a chortle. But I was trying to look at some of their greatest hits that I'm missing. What's your favorite song of theirs?
I mean, it's either Hit or Miss or My Friends Over You. I think Hit or Miss has more staying power, but obviously I still love My Friends Over You to this day. But, you know, when it was Megan's birthday party and we were all dressed as drag queens and I was in a gold sequins dress, I put on Hit or Miss.
Ooh,
So,
whoa.
yeah.
To me, okay, I'm going to say My Friends Over You slash, the story so far is so good too. Slash, well, there's two, like, so again, I told you they're my guilty pleasure band. I'm either going to them because I miss one of their songs and want to listen to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that if I'm just going back and I want to listen to All Downhill From Here and My Friends Over You, I'm just being nostalgic.
Yeah.
There's another version of going back to Newfound Glory where it's the total guilty pleasure. Don't want people to see me Googling fingernail in public. Like, I wonder what, like, would it take like a year? You know, but like, there's the song Understatement, and then there's the song At Least I'm Known for Something, which is just like them at their most, like, we're in this local college just like making the windows rattle, right? Type. Totally the most like friendly angry pop punk, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how to say it, but like, to quote Ben Folds mocking Korn in the song Rockin' the Suburbs, like, all alone with my white boy pain type stuff. So, but yeah, there's definitely a version where you're like, I remember what it was like to be in 5th grade and very angry about taking the trash out or something. So, I do love those songs, but for different reasons, very different reasons, because they rock hard as hell. They just do.
You know,
they do.
King of Wishful Thinking might show up for me too on like a 5-song EP.
You can get the out.
Well, let's give our song of the week and then get the out of here. John. So my song of the week, I have been listening to Taylor Swift just non-stop. It's all I've done for the past probably couple months at this point, but it's been like just fucking looping her music videos for like an entire days at a time. And I decided to dive more into Speak Now because it was like my least well-known album of hers. And the opening song off of that, Mine, is just super good. Yeah, I've been jamming that a lot lately. And I also want to announce that we are working on a Reddit collaboration episode about Taylor Swift's Reputation album, and that should be coming out hopefully like in a month.
Well, not just for Reddit. I mean, if people want to submit their, it would be like a bonus episode, right? People have been sending us audio clips of their reviews of Reputation and things like that. Yeah,
we're basically just going to invite like 10 people to like send voice memos and we'll discuss, you know, what their favorite moments of the album are. If anyone here like loves Reputation, hit us up. Tom at cleancutaudio.com. Send like a 2 to 3 minute voice memo and we'll air it on the show and discuss it. But yeah, Mine by Taylor Swift is mine.
There you go.
This week.
I am going to say this. I was watching late night TV with my wife. We always watch Fallon and Seth Meyers when we can. And the musical guest came on and he was like, "It's Joe Jackson." And I was like, my mind wandered about the Jackson family and things like that, and the Jackson 5 and Janet Jackson, just like, And I was like, and then I like zonked out and looked back up halfway through the song, and it was just these middle-aged white dudes just absolutely ripping it, like with good synth, like crazy riffs, and it was really good. I was like, who the is Joe Jackson? So I Googled it, and it, you know, the song, "Is She Really Going Out With Him?" You know, that riff that was used by the Rake and Tourists to do the Steady As She Goes thing, like the dun, 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 dun. Anyway, they made famous or wrote or whatever the "Is She Really Going Out With Him?" It's a famous band from the UK, and their song that they were playing on Fallon that night, now that I'm finally roundabout way of getting here, is called "Fabulously Absolute." It is surprisingly still rocking. Usually the washed up middle-aged, 70s rockers or 80s rockers or 90s rockers or whatever slow down. No signs from Joe Jackson on this latest record. Really cool. I was just surprised, like, who the is this? It was good. I liked it a lot. It was weird. It was like the right amount of weird, but I liked it.
Yeah. I feel like that's sums up most of your favorite songs. Just the right amount of weird, which for me is usually a little too weird, but
yes, we've pretty much don't agree on anything, right? Ever, which is why it's and here we are. Yeah, but we're still going to get, keep an eye out if you were listening last week late into the episode. We're getting pretty close on the book project that we've been working on. that's exciting. And it's just, we're having a lot of fun. Let us know if you have any questions, I guess, at @_reminiscent_FM on Twitter. You can let us know if there are any bands you want to hear. There's a bit of a lineup going, and we're going to try to get to as many of them as we can. When we can. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. Or let us know what your favorite New Found Glory song is.
That too. You can always do that. But if it's not ones that we like, then we're going to block you.
And fuck. And report.
So,
Blocked and report.
So AKA, you could interact with us on social, or we could just encourage no one to ever. So tread lightly, I suppose.
All right, man. Great episode. Love you, dude.
Yeah, that was fun. I love you, man. Take it easy. I'll talk to you next week.
See ya. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. That was such an awesome episode. I love New Found Glory. So let us know on Twitter at _reminiscentfm what your favorite New Found Glory song is. If you are looking to contribute to the Taylor Swift episode, email me, tom@cleancutaudio.com. Would love to hear your voice on the show. We've got a lot of exciting news coming up, so stick around. We love you all, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.